Welcome back, you guys, for another episode here. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that so many people that work in a similar or the same type of health industry as I do, we work with people, we have a coaching program, and this specific topic is something that I've had conversations with a few people in the last week that work in the same profession as I do. And it's something that we come up against. And I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to bring it to light and talk about it because I think it's really important. And I want you guys to just tune in and get a different perspective about this. And I'm going to be talking to both men and women today. And so don't tune out. I want you to consider these things and why are these things happening? So I have a coaching program, right? And one of the very common things that happens is that there's primarily females that come to me. And, it's no secret that women typically have a higher, rate and percentage of health issues going on because our hormones are different and we carry and birth and nurse and raise children, and so there's a lot going on there. Then we have periods, then we have perimenopause, then we have menopause. Like, there's all of these things that go on with women, and that's how God created us. We just have a lot going on. So if you're a guy and you're not dealing with these types of things, which doubt that you are, count your blessings. I saw this really funny video on Instagram the other day where this guy made a video and he was talking about women getting their periods. And he's like, women will just, be driving down the road, going to work, bleeding profusely. Oh, she's, cooking a full meal. She's taking care of the kids, bleeding profusely, not complaining, sometimes maybe. But, you put this like whole thing into perspective. And I'm not complaining about it because for me, it's like, hey, that's how we're created. It's part of, our cycle, it's part of our DNA, it's part of the requirement of women being able to, birth and grow and have children. Like, it's just the way it is. We can't change that. But we can make things easier. And if you are a male and you are either married or in a relationship and you want to really support your woman, like, pay attention to these things. Our hormones fluctuate so much, like up and down. So we have, our luteal phase, we have our ovulation phase, we have our follicular phase, we have our menstruation, like we have all these different phases. And with these phases, we're not even keel. We go like this because that's what our hormones do with these different phases. You guys like us when we're in ovulation because that's usually when we're the happiest and the most chipper. Whereas if we're going through menstruation, follicular, we may not be so happy, because we have a dip in hormones. There's things that are shifting. It's constantly shifting and changing. And so if you really want to understand how to support your woman, understand the cycle and understand what to do in those cycles. So anyway, I thought that was really funny and also like really amazing that he talked about that. So here's the topic that I want to talk about today, and this is about, supporting your own health journey and making those decisions for yourself. So let me paint you a picture here. Woman comes to me. She's married. She has children. She's tired. She's exhausted. No matter what she does, she can't lose weight. She doesn't like the way that she feels. She doesn't like the way that she looks. She has no sex drive. She can barely function. She's snapping at her husband. She's snapping at her kids. She doesn't even know who she is anymore. She's gone to the doctor, tried to get answers. She doesn't get any answers. She's told like everything's fine, or, here's what's going on, but like we don't have a plan for you. Go figure it out yourself. She spent money on supplements because they're promising. She's thrown money and time and effort into dieting because, well, that sounds promising. And so she's at the end of the rope by the time she comes to me. Okay. This is the final straw where she's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm lost. I'm not myself. I have all these things going on. And, I want to save my marriage. I want to, be intimate with my husband. I want to like my kids. I want to be able to live my life. I want to be able to play. I want to lose weight. I want to feel confident. I want to feel like myself again. Okay. She's told me all these things. And, I have this thing on my application where I ask, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to invest in yourself to get, the results that you're wanting? And these women will put a 10 there. Like, they're ready. They will do anything. They're a 10, they're committed, and they want to do this because it's their last straw. And they realize at this point in time, they've been trying to do this on their own and it's not working. And they want answers and they want help. Okay, you're a 10. All right, here's the plan. Here's what the investment is. This is what you can do in a payment plan. And they'll tell me, yes, we can either pay in full or we can make a payment plan, but I'm in. I want to do this. Let me go talk to my husband. And I'm giving you real life scenarios. Let me go talk to my husband and see which route we want to go, and whether or not we want to do a payment plan or pay in full. Now, I know when they say that, it means that they have the financial means to do this. I've even had people say, my husband's on board. Like, we know we need to do this. He's on board. Okay. All right. Cool. I respect that. I want you to make a decision for yourself, but I respect that you want to have a conversation. So go have a conversation with him and, just ask him, which route you guys want to go, and then come back and let me know and I'll get you going right away. Okay. I'm not kidding. This is exactly how it goes. So she goes, she talks to her husband, and either the same day or the next day, I get a message back. I'm really sorry. I talked to my husband and he doesn't want me to do this. I'm giving you dead silence right now because that is deafening. And here's why. The question I ask with that is, why is it that the woman is in such desperation? She don't got no sex drive. I know he's not getting anything, but I know he wants it. She's tired. She's cranky. She's not herself. He may be like, I love you just the way you. No, she's not thriving. Okay. So why does he come back and say, I don't want you to do that? And the question I always ask myself, and then it's something that I want you women to take a look at. Okay. Now, I'm not giving you relationship advice. I'm not telling you what you need to be doing, but I want you to ask yourself this question. If the roles were flipped and he was in such desperation to find answers and get and feel better, would you support him and say, yes, I will do anything to support you. I will support you. Let's make this happen because I want you to feel better and I want you to get your life back. In fact, I've had women that have sent their husbands to me because their husbands needed help. And so the frustrating part about this is that, first of all, I know as a provider how much this is going to change the entire family's life. Because every single time that the mom comes on, because everything starts with the mom and the wife, everything. She's a peacekeeper. She's the internal provider in the house where she, prepares the meals. Like, mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. He's tired, she's cranky, she's frustrated. Trust me, that energy is rolling over into the relationship and into the kids as well. Can't be yourself, can't be your best. And so every single time that the mom comes to me and we start working together, and all of a sudden she starts feeling better. She starts feeling like herself again. Yes, it may have been an investment, but that investment in a very short period of time starts to pay off because all of a sudden the kids start to notice, and all of a sudden the spouse or partner starts to notice, and they start seeing that healed person come back. They start seeing that the person she used to be, she's now coming back because she's healing. And that is because she took the time and money to invest in herself, in the right thing, to get the help that she needed in order to heal. And when she does, it creates this beautiful ripple effect into the entire household. No joke. I've had entire families transform their lives just by the wife slash mother taking that initiative and that step. And so when the husband says, no, I don't want you to do that, I'm going to talk to the husbands here for a little bit now. So if you say no to your partner or wife, even though she's begging for help, she didn't come to me or whoever else it was. She didn't come to anybody like that because she was just, you know, wanting to wing something. No, she came there. She booked the consultation. She did that because she wants help and she's desperate. So, guys, if your wife or partner has gone to that step and said, I need help, believe her because she wants to feel her best and be better for you, but you're not going to get her if you don't support her. So, my question to you is, if you're saying no to her, why are you saying no to her? I'll give you an example. I have a gal that's been working with me for quite some time. And when she came to me, she made the decision all on her own. She didn't need to go ask her spouse for permission. She didn't need his approval, nothing. She just said, I need this and I'm doing this for myself. And honestly, there is nothing sexier than a woman coming to me and being like, I'm all in. And I know that they have a partner or a spouse and they don't even go ask them because they can make that decision on their own. And they don't go ask because they're like, I'm my own person. I know I can make this decision for myself. So, first of all, you don't need permission and you don't need approval. And so she made that decision. And so here's the psychology behind this and why I'm diving into this. So she's been working with me for quite some time and she started losing weight, feeling better. But the biggest part is she started to come into herself again, where she had a voice again and she's able to, ask for the things that she's needing and not take on her partner's insecurities, must I say. And so there was a time in a place in their relationship where after she lost quite a bit of weight, all of a sudden her husband's like all over her again. And it triggered something in her where she was like, oh, why are you all over me now when you weren't when I was more overweight? And so she grew so much that she was able to provide and ask those kinds of questions. And then it made him think. And he's like, oh, wow, like, I guess I really didn't think about it because I wasn't doing that when you were, at your heaviest, but now I'm doing it. And I can see like how that would make you feel weird. And so one of the things that I discovered during that whole scenario when that was happening is sometimes the guy says no because he's insecure in himself and he doesn't want his woman to lose the weight and start looking and feeling better because they're afraid their woman's going to leave because now she's come into herself. And if you are secure in yourself as a man, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. So the question I ask the men right now is, why are you saying no to your spouse? Why aren't you stepping up and saying, yes, like I'll support you in any way, shape, or form so that you can feel your best and I want to be my best with you? Like, why is that not happening? Because she's sick. She's at the end of her rope and she's sick and she's desperate. But you're saying no. You're saying no to her. And the question is why? And it's always a much deeper rooted thing. It rarely has anything to do with finances because at the end of the day, you will figure it out. Even if it's tight for you, you will figure it out because here's what happens. Once you start healing and feeling better, I have literally seen this happen where people finally feel better and they're healed and they change their careers. They change jobs, careers, and they go on to make tenfold from what they were making before because they actually felt like doing it. Whereas before, they were so sick and tired and full of anxiety or depression that they couldn't even think straight to do that. But then once the body gets healed and your nervous system is regulated and you're feeling amazing and good and you got a good routine in place, it changes everything because you can focus and you can actually go after that dream that you've always wanted to do. And so a lot of times people get hung up, especially men. I'm going to speak directly to you right now. You get hung up on the number. You get hung up on that. And what you need to look at is the benefit and the outcome. What is this going to get me in terms of how is this going to make my life better? If you want your life to be better as a man, you need to support and want your partner slash wife's life to be better. You want her to be happy. You want her to feel amazing. You want her to feel good. And if you don't support that, she can't be that. Vice versa as well. So it has to go both ways. But I just, because of the field that I work in, I see it way more on the end of, hey, the wife comes to me and then the husband says no. I do work with men too. And I don't know that I have ever worked with a man or had a man come to me and then he said, well, let me go talk to my wife. I don't think that has ever happened. Men don't ask for permission, they just do. They do. They don't ask for the permission. Feels right? All right. Yep. I'm going to do it. Let's go. Whereas as women, we feel this need to, whether it's permission or approval or whatever, but we feel this need to get okay from them, which I get it if it's an investment, like talk about it. But the number one thing is, do they know how this is going to benefit your life? And that's usually the missing piece. So now that I've talked to the men for a bit here, I want to talk to the women. Okay. So if you are in this place and are this person where you're at the end of your rope, what would happen if you just said yes and you took the reins into your hand and you took control and you said yes and you said, okay, I'm going to do this. I don't need permission. I don't need approval. I'm going to do this because I know that this is best for me and I can make a decision for myself. What if you did that? What happens? So I had another story where this girl came to me just last week. She's in my program now, but she just came to me last week. And we got to the point where she was like, yes, I'm all in. Like, I want to do this. So we're discussing payment and how she wants to pay. And then she got to a place where she was like, well, let me talk to my husband to see what route he wants to go. And then she caught herself and she goes, "Well, I guess I could just make this decision on my own. Like, I don't necessarily have to go ask him." And I was like, "I think you need to make this decision on your own. Like, you don't need permission. Yes, you're in a marriage, but you don't need permission from him to start your health journey." And so that's what she ended up doing. And you know what was the most thought-provoking thing for her and also healing thing for her? She made the decision, she made the payment, and the same day she messaged me and she goes, "My husband's totally fine with me doing this." And she goes, "I have never had a guy be okay with me spending money like this on myself in order to heal and get better." And that was a healing moment for her. First of all, that tells you she's with an amazing guy that supports her and he wants her to feel her best. And so he's not even going to question it because he trusts her. He's not going to question it, which was like super empowering for her because it was this level of trust where he's like, "Yeah, I got you. No big deal. You know what you're doing." And to me, that was incredibly empowering, not only for me to be able to see that, but also to watch her because it was a moment of healing for her. And so, the question I want to ask you women right now, if you are in this situation where you're like, "Yeah, I can make this decision on my own," my question to you is, what makes you not make that decision on your own? And when you do go back to your spouse and you have these high hopes and you're like, "This is like last straw, I got to do this." What happens when he says no? How do you feel? How does that make you feel? Is it a disappointment on his part or is it a disappointment on your part where you ask yourself, like, "What did I do wrong this time? Why didn't I make this decision on my own? I know we would be okay. I just want to feel better." Like, what comes up? Because there's always an underlying thing that's going on there where something is not, something within you is not having you make that decision and saying, like, "I got us. I got this. Like, I know that this is the best decision for me and I'm going to do it because I know that it's going to benefit the entire family." What is making you not make that decision? Now, I'm not saying disrespect your partner. I'm not saying don't make decisions together. The question I ask you is, are you able to make decisions for yourself? And are you standing up for yourself and making decisions for yourself? Because it is nobody else's responsibility for your health. So if you are in this place of desperation where you're like, "My back's against the wall, I don't know what to do, I know this is the right thing to do for me," but you're not taking that leap and that step where you're like, "I'm just going to do it because I know that this is what's going to get me to where I want to be." And then you have, and but you don't say no. And the question I ask is your fear, now I'm talking with you right now, but is there a fear that you will be judged? Is there a fear that your spouse will be angry about it? Like, what is it? Like, you have to ask yourself these questions. Just like I said earlier, I have never had a guy come to me and then said, "I need to go talk to my wife about it and see what she thinks." They just don't. They make the decisions on their own. So, women need to step up and do the same. Many women do, but I do find that many women don't. And because of that, it keeps you stuck because the biggest missing piece when the woman goes back to the husband and says, "Hey, this is what I want to do. Here's what the investment is. I know this is the right thing. He only hears the number. He doesn't hear the benefits and how it's going to help. And so, unless, you're the type of person where you have the relationship and you can communicate that, where it's like, hey, trust me, I know this is the best thing for me. Here's what is involved, and here's how I want to feel. This is what I want to do for our family. It's really difficult for the guy to not only look at the number and what that entails. So, food for thought, something to think about, because at the end of the day, the number one thing that I teach my women is, even though you are in a marriage, you are still your individual person and you have to be your individual person. Now, what do I mean by this? Just like I said before, you're not, it doesn't mean disrespect your partner. It doesn't mean anything like that. Like, obviously, you're married and you come into unison on things, but you're still responsible for yourself. I'll give you an example. There was a gal that I worked with a few years ago, young gal, married, no kids. She had a lot of health issues going on, a lot of things with her health. And I remember one day we were on a call and she said, "Oh, I just want to make my husband happy." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, when I'm cooking, you know, I want to cook healthy for myself, but then he wants to eat these other things. So I want to make him happy. So I make these other things for him." And I said, "Why is it your job to make him happy? He's an adult. He's responsible for his own happiness, not you." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "No, he's responsible for his happiness. You are not responsible for your spouse's happiness." Now, because if you're not happy with yourself, how do you expect anybody else to make you happy and be happy with you and treat you the way that you want? So you got to treat yourself nice first so that you're taken care of, and everybody else that comes in is just icing on the cake. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way." Yes, you are in unison as a marriage, but you're still your each individual people. And so that kind of like unlocked something for her. And additionally, I had a gal that I worked with last year, and the second call that we had, she's telling me all of these things, things about her relationship and what he was or wasn't doing, things that were going on with her health. And in the middle of the entire conversation, I just stopped her and I said, "Hey, when are you going to take responsibility for your own health?" And she was like, "What?" Kind of paused for a second. She's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, let's say your husband passed away and he was no longer in your life. Who would take care of you?" "Oh, well, I guess I would have to." "Okay, so why aren't you doing that now?" "Oh," I said, "it's not your husband's responsibility to take care of everything about you in your health. He's a provider, he's a supporter, he's there to help you, but what you're supposed to do on a day-to-day basis, not his responsibility. So if he were gone, what would you do?" "Well, I figure it out and I do it myself. So why aren't you doing it now?" Oh, that was literally her response. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so right." And so that opened the door for her where she was like, "Whoa, I can do this on my own, but not only can I, but I need to be my own person." And so there was a time in the whole time that we were working together that she didn't know if their relationship was going to make it. Like, it was hard. It was a lot of stuff going on. But here's the beautiful thing, because she took matters into her own hands for herself and she put aside, she didn't take the responsibility of his stuff. She stopped putting so many expectations on him and she put the work in herself. Because of that, to this day, they're still married. And it's because she started to become her own person again instead of relying on him for everything. And because she started to do that, she was able to start communicating better again. And therefore, he was able to start seeing her and he was watching her. And all of a sudden, he's like, well, I better get my shit together. If I don't, she's not going to stay. And so he started getting his stuff together. And now their level of communication is so much better. And we all know relationships are about communication, right? And so, because of her doing that work, their marriage got a whole lot stronger. Their relationship got stronger, and they're able to communicate and solve these problems that before just became a bickering thing. And that is what happens when healing happens. And when someone just says, okay, like I'm taking the initiative because I know that this is the best thing for me. So, food for thought, you guys. I know that this is something that so many people struggle with. And if you are feeling like you don't have the support from your partner or your spouse, but you're needing it, the first question that I want you to ask yourself is, are you giving yourself the support that you need? And 9 times out of 10, that's the case, is that you're not giving yourself the support that you need. Therefore, you're also not getting it from them. And I had a gal just this week, we were on a call with my clients, and one of the girls, she had a whole lot going on in her life. And she was starting to feel neglected. And this is coming from someone that's a people pleaser and always taking care of everybody else, doing everything for everybody else. And one of the things that I tell every single person is when you do that, eventually you'll start becoming resentful because you haven't taken care of yourself, but you've only taken care of the other people around you. And now you start becoming resentful and feeling neglected because you feel like you're doing everything for everybody else, but nobody's doing anything for you. The question is, are you doing something for you? And so she paused because she had so much stuff going on and she was starting to feel this. She was starting to feel resentment, bitterness, overwhelm, anxiety, like all these things. And then she took a step back and she goes, well, Lizzie taught me that if I'm starting to feel these things like neglected and dismissed and overlooked, I need to ask myself, am I doing this to myself? And so she looked at her habits and the things that she was doing and not doing, and she realized that she had been neglecting all these things that provide stability for herself because she was making sure that everybody else was taken care of before her. And so she took a step back and she's like, well, it's not anybody else's fault. I've been neglecting myself. So she took a step back and she started putting herself first again. And as soon as she started doing that, that ripple effect started happening again where she started feeling taken care of. And so a lot of times when we feel we're like, oh, we're alone, we don't, you know, feel like anybody cares and all that, is actually because we're neglecting ourselves. So the question you have to ask yourself is, where am I neglecting myself? And then where can we take initiative to start taking care of yourself? And sometimes that just means it's a heck yes. I'm making a decision for myself. This is what I'm doing. I'm all in, and they'll come along. So, thanks for listening, you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning into the Lizzie Young Show. If you're ready to take the next step to transforming your health and life, visit www.undietyou.com for all my resources and to book your consultation today. Don't forget to subscribe and join me each week for more tips, inspiration, and conversations with phenomenal guests to help you feel your best. See you guys next week.